Okay, so I made you this video so that I could show you how to do the orange exercises, even though I am not next to this table in real time. So the first thing you're going to do is to make a grid with this thin tape. If you can get thin tape, if you can't, you have to just make it with thicker tape. So you're going to put down a bunch of tapes that are going horizontal, and then other ones that are going vertical like this, so that they make a grid, which now I'll show you what it looks like. So there's your horizontal tapes and your vertical tapes. And then you label on one side your yellow colors: cadmium yellow, cadmium lemon, bismuth yellow, medium yellow. And on the other side, your reds: rose, cadmium red, alizarin crimson, carmine. They don't have to be those same colors. Whatever colors you have is okay. And then you start with one of those colors, the one on the top. Cadmium yellow helps to just fill it in a little bit in its little box so that you know once you're done what it looked like all by itself. And then you go across each box. And finally this one. Okay, then you're going to do the same thing with your next one. Cadmium lemon. And it's interesting to see how different cadmium yellow and cadmium lemon are. They're quite different colors. And then bismuth yellow, very close to cadmium lemon, but has a little more substance in it. Feels just a little bit thicker. And then finally, this color that I had, I don't know what manufacturer, but they called it medium yellow. That's kind of a nice color, kind of warmer than the cadmium lemon or the bismuth, but not as orangey as that cadmium yellow. Okay, so you fill all of those in. Then we have to let them dry. So we'll just stop recording for a second and I'll pick you up in a minute. Okay, so now we'll add the reds. So we'll start with rose, and right over the cadmium yellow, we'll put the rose. And you have to play around with it a little bit to get the right strength. Just want it to look orangey. And over the bismuth yellow. And over the medium yellow. So those give you some orangey kind of patches. And then we'll go to the cadmium red. And you'll see this is a pretty orangey red to begin with. So that'll make a nice orange. You begin to get a sense of how different yellows and different reds make different oranges, which sounds so obvious, but seeing it is another thing. Okay, then we'll come in with alizarin crimson. And alizarin crimson is a slightly, so slightly, but slightly bluish red. And so the oranges that come are a slightly more brown than the other one, the other red. And then finally, we'll bring carmine, which is very close to rose. Oh, but mine is a little stronger. I'll just put on there. And over the medium yellow, and then we have a nice little grid of different oranges. Oh, but I forgot on the tops, you want to put the color itself like you did with the yellow. So there's carmine, alizarin crimson, cadmium red, and rose. Okay, now I'm going to stop recording for a second so that I can show you the next exercise. So now we're going to do the wet on wet paintings with orange. And you will choose one of your yellows and one of your reds, so you can see how they blend together and move together and what kind of orange they might make. This is cadmium yellow. And then I could add to that, so I think some carmine would be nice. Let's start up here and then let them mix. And usually the reds will kind of steal the show from the yellows. So you might have to come back in with some more of that cadmium yellow. But if you leave a little space somewhere for some blue, I'll just leave that up at the top. Well, then we could bring a little more red in here. A little bit more yellow just to make a good orange statement. And then it's really interesting to bring a little bit of blue to see, because they are complements to each other. And what happens when a little bit of blue comes in to the composition? It's such a different being, that blue. And if you want to, you can even experiment a little bit and see what happens when the blue mixes a little. Then you'll start getting greenish and a little bit violet and some real off tones. So you can just do that if you want to, or you can just stay with um, an orange painting, a little more yellow in. See, and then we get a little bit of green. Yeah. Okay, now I'm going to stop the recording again so that I can show you the last exercise. So just to show you this technique again, which is called surface collage, we'll work with this poem by Rumi, which you have in the lesson. It has a lot of imagery in it, so you can just choose a few things that you'd like to work with. And then using your resist, you could make some lines for those things. I'm gonna kind of go with the garden imagery and maybe a little bit of green for parrots, the parrots part. I'm not going to really draw parrots, but I'm just going to bring in some green for them, the feeling of them. And then I'm going to paint a little bit with some yellow right over that. See what shows up. And to me, this poem has a real orange, bright orangey feeling. So I can bring a little cadmium red in. Maybe a little bit of the alizarin crimson red. And that is for a mood, that's nice. It's pretty nice. But I don't know if this is a water pencil or not. No, it looks like probably just a regular pencil. So in order to get some green in it, I would have to then touch into this blue again. Let there be some green and some earth tones. And then if I wanted to go into surface collage, I could bring some tissue paper, put that right into the wet paper and put a little bit of really watered down glue on it so that it hangs together. And that kind of gives you a different texture in part of it. And then I could paint on top of that. I'm using the cadmium yellow, and I could bring in a little bit of red as well. And maybe even a little more blue. To accentuate that kind of garden feeling. I feel like it could be nice to bring in a little bit of rose. And so you'll see the resist where you're just going over your original paper, and you won't see it so much if you put on the tissue paper. You can kind of play around with that.